You're listening to Speak English with Chat.
On Chat English. Welcome back to Chat English, where we learn the real English people actually use every day. Today, we are going to completely delete the worst feeling in language learning, the 3-hour delay cringe. You know the feeling. You are on the train going home, staring out the dark window, and suddenly your brain screams, "Why did I say I am boring instead of I am bored in that meeting at 2 o'clock? They must think I am an idiot."
Ugh, the cringe is so real. Just last week, I lost sleep because I used the wrong preposition with a client and I wanted to hide under my desk for the rest of the day.
Today, we are busting the myth of the perfect speaker and giving you 3 natural phrases to fix your mistakes mid-sentence so you never have to dwell on them again.
Exactly. I love that we are talking about this because I think every single person listening right now knows exactly what that train ride feels like. Your body is physically sitting on the train or the bus or in your car, but mentally you are back in that meeting room or that coffee shop. Your face feels hot, your heart is actually beating a little bit faster. It is amazing how our brains can torture us with one tiny mistake hours after the conversation is completely finished.
It really is a form of self-torture. We replay the tape over and over. You think about how you opened your mouth, how the words came out wrong, and you imagine the other person judging you. You imagine them going home and telling their family, "Oh, you will never believe the terrible grammar I heard today."
Which is so funny when you say it out loud because nobody actually does that. Nobody goes home and talks about someone else using the past tense incorrectly. But in our heads, the mistake feels massive. It feels like everyone is looking at us under a microscope.
That is such a great metaphor. We put our own English under a microscope. And the word we used at the start of this episode to describe that feeling is cringe. Cringe is a really useful word. As a verb, to cringe means to physically pull your body inward because you feel so embarrassed or uncomfortable. Imagine watching a really bad singer on a talent show and they are hitting all the wrong notes. You might close your eyes and bring your shoulders up to your ears. That physical movement is a cringe.
Yes, and we also use it to describe that internal emotional feeling. When you remember a mistake you made, you cringe inwardly. You feel that sharp wave of embarrassment. And what happens next is the dangerous part. You start to dwell on it.
Dwell on it. That is a great phrase. What exactly does it mean to dwell on something?
To dwell on something means you keep thinking about the same negative thing again and again. You stay inside that thought for a long time. You unpack your bags and build a house inside that negative thought. Instead of letting the mistake pass like a cloud in the sky, you grab it, you hold onto it, and you dwell on it all evening.
I know I'm guilty of dwelling on my mistakes. And the reason we do this, the reason we cringe and dwell on these tiny errors, is because we've bought into a massive myth, the myth of the perfect native speaker. We have this idea from textbooks and school exams that English is a test. If you say the wrong word, you lose a point. You get a red mark on your paper. And we think that native speakers are walking around with perfect grammar, perfect vocabulary, never pausing, never stumbling, and always speaking in complete, flawless sentences.
Exactly, and that is simply not true. It is a complete illusion. If you actually listen to native speakers talking to each other at a restaurant or in a casual meeting or just chatting on the street, it is messy. It is so messy. People start a sentence, stop halfway through, change their minds, use the wrong word, forget the word they're looking for, and completely lose their train of thought.
All the time. Just yesterday, I was talking to a friend and I said, "I am going to the store yesterday." I completely mixed up my future and past tense in my own native language, and my friend did not even blink. She just knew what I meant from the context.
I love that example because it proves that the goal of a conversation is not grammatical perfection. The goal is connection. The goal is meaning. If the meaning is clear, the other person doesn't care about the grammar. But even when the meaning gets confused, native speakers do not panic. And I think this is the core difference between a native speaker and an English learner. It's not that native speakers don't make mistakes. It's that native speakers have the habit of smooth recovery.
Smooth recovery. That's the secret. When a native speaker uses the wrong word, they don't freeze, they don't turn red, apologize 5 times, and say, "Oh my goodness, my English is so terrible, please forgive me." They just fix the word and keep going. The conversation doesn't stop, the energy of the room doesn't drop. They just gracefully back up, correct the tiny piece of the sentence that went wrong, and move forward.
Yes, and because they do it so smoothly, you usually do not even notice that they made a mistake in the first place. Your brain just registers the corrected version. So, if we want to stop cringing on the train ride home, we need to learn how to do this. We need to build the habit of smooth recovery. We need the exact phrases that let us fix a mistake mid-sentence without apologizing.
Let us get right into the first phrase. This is your absolute best friend for those moments when the wrong word leaves your mouth and you instantly realize it. The phrase is, "Sorry, I meant to say."
Sorry, I meant to say. It is so simple, but it is incredibly powerful. Let us look at how that works in real life. Imagine you are in the office and you want to tell your coworker that the meeting is on Thursday, but accidentally you say the meeting is on Tuesday. The moment you say Tuesday, your brain realizes the mistake. Instead of panicking, you just say, the meeting is on Tuesday. Sorry, I meant to say Thursday.
It is so natural, and notice the grammar working quietly in the background here. We're saying, "I meant to say." We use meant, the past tense of mean, because you are talking about your intention from 2 seconds ago. Your intention was Thursday, but your mouth said Tuesday, so you say, "I meant to say."
I meant to say. And the delivery is important here. You do not say it like a tragedy. You do not put your hands over your face and say it with deep shame. You say it lightly. You just drop it into the sentence. The report will be ready by tonight. Sorry, I meant to say tomorrow morning.
Exactly. Keep the tone light. It's just a tiny correction on the steering wheel while you're driving. You don't slam on the brakes. You just say, "Sorry, I meant to say," and you keep driving.
Let's give you another example. Imagine you mix up a vocabulary word. You are trying to say you're excited about a project, but you say, I'm exhausted about this project. You catch it. You say, I'm exhausted about this project. Sorry, I meant to say excited. Exhausted is the exact opposite of what I'm feeling.
That's a great save, and you can even laugh a little bit when you do it. Laughing at your own tiny mistakes shows so much confidence. If you're finding these phrases helpful so far and you want to keep building this kind of natural, confident English, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We make new episodes every week to help you sound natural and feel comfortable in real conversations, completely free of textbook pressure.
Let's move on to the second phrase. This one is a little bit more advanced, and it's perfect for when your sentence gets really messy. Sometimes you do not just use one wrong word. Sometimes you start a sentence, the grammar gets completely twisted, you get lost in your own words, and you realize you've built a sentence that makes absolutely no sense.
Oh, I know that feeling so well. You're halfway through the sentence and you realize there's no exit. You're trapped in a grammar maze.
Exactly. When you're in the grammar maze, do not try to fight your way out. Just stop, erase the sentence, and use this phrase. Let me rephrase that.
Let me rephrase that. I love this phrase. It is so professional, so calm, and so high status. It tells the listener, I am in control of my words. I didn't like the way that sentence sounded, so I'm choosing to say it again in a better way.
Yes, it is a high status phrase. Rephrase simply means to phrase something again, to say it in a different way. Let me rephrase that. Let us actually do a quick quiz with this one to show you why it is so powerful. This is our ABC Best Reply quiz. I'm going to give you a scenario, and Dan, I want you to talk through the options.
Sounds fun. I'm ready.
Okay, here's the scenario. You are in a video call with a client. You are trying to explain a complex pricing problem. You start explaining it, but your English gets completely tangled. You use the wrong tense, you lose your vocabulary, and you stop talking. You need to restart. Which of these three options is the best, most natural way to fix this situation? Option A, oh, sorry for my bad English, it's hard to explain. Option B, let me rephrase that. Or option C, I speak wrong, give me a second.
This is a fantastic quiz because I hear learners use all three of these in the real world. Let's break them down. Option C is I speak wrong, give me a second. I understand the instinct here. You want to communicate that an error occurred, but saying I speak wrong is too literal, and it highlights your lack of fluency in a way that actually distracts the listener from the business topic. So C is definitely not the best choice.
I agree. What about option A? Sorry for my bad English, it's hard to explain. This is the most common one, and it is the one we want to eliminate today. When you say, sorry for my bad English, you instantly lower your status in the conversation. You force the other person to feel pity for you or to comfort you. They have to say, oh no, your English is fine. It ruins the professional vibe of the meeting. You are a smart adult sharing valuable ideas. Do not apologize for speaking a second language.
Which leaves us with option B. Let me rephrase that.
Exactly. Option B is the winner. Let me rephrase that. It is clean, it is confident, it does not mention your English skills at all. Native speakers use this phrase every single day when their own thoughts get messy. When you use it, you sound like a native speaker managing a complex thought, not like a student failing a test.
That is such a powerful distinction. You sound like a professional managing a complex thought, not a student failing a test. So let us imagine that video call again. You start saying, the price is going to be more high than the last year because of the... You stop, you take a breath, you say, let me rephrase that. Due to supply costs, our pricing has increased.
It completely resets the energy. And notice the body language you can use with this. When you say, let me rephrase that, you can actually use your hands. Put your hands up slightly, like you were pausing the video. Take a small breath. Let me rephrase that. The breath is actually a crucial part of the phrase. It calms your nervous system down.
Yes, the physical breath stops the panic. When we make a mistake, our heart rate spikes. We go into fight or flight mode. The breath brings you back to reality. So phrase 1 is, sorry, I meant to say, for quick one-word fixes. Phrase 2 is, let me rephrase that, for when the whole sentence gets tangled and you need a fresh start.
But what happens when you do not catch the mistake immediately? What happens when you say something, you think it is fine, but you look at the other person and their face is completely blank? They are looking at you with total confusion.
That is the worst feeling. You are talking and you suddenly realize the other person is lost. Maybe you used a word that meant something completely different than what you intended. Let's say you were trying to tell your coworker that you were exhausted, but you accidentally said, I'm embarrassing. You say, I worked a 12-hour shift yesterday, I'm so embarrassing, and your coworker just stares at you.
That is a brilliant example because the listener is trying to understand why working a 12-hour shift makes you embarrassing. They are trying to solve a puzzle that has no solution.
Exactly. In this moment, you realize a mistake has happened, but the sentence is already finished. For this situation, we need our third phrase. I slipped up there. What I mean is,
I slipped up there. What I mean is, let's look at that first part. I slipped up. What does it mean to slip up?
a slip-up is a wonderful natural idiom. To slip up means to make a small, careless mistake. Think about walking down the street. If you trip over a crack in the sidewalk, you stumble for a second, but you don't fall all the way down. You just lose your balance for a moment, catch yourself, and keep walking. That's a slip-up.
That is a great metaphor. A slip-up is just a trip. You don't break your leg. It's a minor error. So when you say, I slipped up there, you were telling the other person, hey, I just tripped over my words. Do not take that lost sentence seriously.
Yes, it takes the pressure off immediately. And then you follow it with the correction. What I mean is, so back to our embarrassing example. You see your coworker looking confused. You smile, you shake your head a little bit, and you say, I slipped up there. What I mean is, I'm exhausted.
It instantly clears the confusion. The coworker smiles, the puzzle is solved, and the conversation moves forward. Let's actually practice this one together right now out loud. It's time for a pause and reply practice. If you're new to Chat English, pause and reply is where we actually stop talking so you can practice your muscle memory.
Muscle memory is so important. You have to train your mouth to say these words, not just your ears to hear them. So I'm going to set up a scenario. I'll say a sentence with a mistake. I'll pretend to notice you are confused. Then I'm going to leave 3 seconds of silence. During that silence, I want you to say the target phrase out loud. The phrase is, I slipped up there. What I mean is, it's on Tuesday.
Let me repeat that target phrase so you are ready. You are going to say, I slipped up there. What I mean is, it's on Tuesday. Even if you're on the train or walking your dog, just whisper it. Get your mouth moving.
Okay, here's the scenario. I'm telling you about a big presentation. I say, I'm so nervous about the big presentation on Thursday. Wait, you look confused.
Excellent. Let us do it one more time. This time, really feel the rhythm of the phrase. Put the emphasis on the word mean. What I mean is... Let us try again. Alice, give us the scenario.
I am so nervous about the big presentation on Thursday. Wait, you look confused. I slipped up there. What I mean is, it is on Tuesday.
I love doing these out loud practices because it bridges the gap between knowing a phrase and actually being able to use it when your heart is beating fast in a real conversation.
Exactly. When the pressure is on, you do not have time to search through a mental dictionary. The phrase needs to be sitting right on your tongue, ready to go.
And that brings us back to the train ride home. Let us talk about why these 3 phrases actually cure the cringe.
Why do they stop us from dwelling on the mistake? Because they close the loop. Think about how the human brain works. Our brains hate unfinished business. If you make a mistake in a meeting and you just freeze, smile awkwardly, and let the conversation move on without fixing it, that mistake stays open in your brain. It's an unresolved conflict.
It's like an open application on your phone that is draining the battery in the background. You did not close it, so it keeps running.
Exactly. So when you get on the train 3 hours later, your brain opens up that file and says, hey, we never fixed this. We looked foolish and we never defended ourselves. Let's panic about it for the next 45 minutes.
But when you use a phrase like, let me rephrase that, you're actively managing the situation in real time. You make the mistake, you recognize it, you confidently announce that you are fixing it, and you deliver the correct meaning. You have closed the loop. You have proved to yourself and to the listener that you are a competent communicator who can navigate rough waters.
Yes, when you close the loop in the moment, there's nothing left to dwell on later. You might sit on the train and think, I almost messed up that sentence today, but I caught it and fixed it nicely. The cringe is replaced with pride. You feel proud of your ability to recover.
And that is the ultimate goal here. We're not trying to reach a magical state where we never use the wrong preposition or mix up our tenses. We're human. You're going to be speaking English for the rest of your life. You're going to make thousands of mistakes. It's guaranteed.
It is mathematically certain. If you speak thousands of words a day, some of them will be the wrong ones.
Exactly. So instead of trying to be perfect, which is impossible, we want you to be resilient. We want you to have the quiet courage to accept a mistake, correct it calmly, and keep sharing your voice with the world. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep moving forward.
That is such a relieving thought. You're allowed to be a work in progress, and the tools we gave you today are your safety net. Let's do a really quick recap of your safety net phrases so they're fresh in your mind.
Phrase number 1, for when you instantly catch a single wrong word. Sorry, I meant to say.
Phrase number 2, for when your sentence gets completely tangled and you need a fresh start. Let me rephrase that.
And phrase number 3, for when you realize the other person is confused by what you just said. I slipped up there. What I mean is, keep these phrases in your back pocket. They will change the way you feel about speaking.
Now, we have a question for you. We love reading your stories, and today we want to normalize making mistakes. So tell us in the comments, have you ever slipped up and said something funny in English by mistake? Let's laugh about it together. I know I have definitely ordered some very strange things at restaurants by mistake.
Oh, absolutely. I once told a very important client that I was going to execute them instead of saying I was going to execute the contract. That was a major slip-up. Share yours in the comments. It helps everyone feel less alone.
The next time you make a tiny mistake in English, make a deal with yourself. Don't say, sorry for my bad English. Take a breath, use let me rephrase that, and watch how naturally the conversation continues.
Thank you for practicing with us today. Keep speaking, keep making those beautiful mistakes, and we'll see you in the next episode.